I'm going to add you, Angela. I met Cassidy at a time in my life when I kind of started shutting people out in recovery and put a lot of walls up. And she likes to say that, that I was her first friend in NA, but she was my first friend in a long time in NA. And at a time in my life when I didn't think that I needed or wanted when any of the women in recovery had to offer anymore, here came this crazy girl from the house across the street, barged into my life. And she quickly, became not just a friend, but truly family. And she really anchored me back into the program at a time when I really needed it. So, over the years, she's become, such a close member of my family, and I've been able to watch her grow and watch her how she works a program. And I'll truly say that I don't know any person in recovery who truly works a program like this and gives of herself so much to the newcomer and to the program. And she truly does not give up on anyone. It doesn't matter how many times you've been here before. If you are willing to do something, if you show up to a meeting, if you call her, Cassidy's going to figure out how to help you. Do you need a ride there? Do you need phone numbers? Do you just need a shoulder to cry on? She's going to be there for you. So, I love you. So, if you don't know her yet, you're going to, and you're going to love her too. So with that, I give you Cassidy T.
I think you guys want to preemptively clap because this could go south, but I'm an addict named Cassidy. It's really crazy to be up here. I remember the first time I came to convention was in the spring of 2016, and it was a really big experience for me. I had been in the program for a while, almost a year, and just coming here and seeing all these people that were trying to fucking stay clean and just being a part of NA. It really, not to sound cheesy, but it really warmed my heart. And I loved coming here. I was really pissed off when fucking COVID tried to get us down. That shit fucking sucked. And I'm glad to be back in the routine of coming here in the fall and the spring. I never thought that I would be up here talking. I feel like there must have been slim pickings for speakers this time, but here I am. I've infiltrated the system, and I want to preface this with: if you don't like what I have to say tonight, you can line up outside and eat my fucking ass after this meeting. So let's get that out of the way, because that's the kind of person I am, and if you don't like it, the time to leave is now. So I'm going to start off with, how it was and all that happy fun shit. I was born to a very young mother in high school. She was in high school when she had me, and a father that was not a part of my life. My mom didn't finish high school. She dropped out, and she had my brother 18 months later, the old Irish twin razzle-dazzle. And we got different dads, you know what I'm saying? Because my mom is the person, she is definitely exhibits signs of being one of us. And she just lives life very chaotically. And I remember when I went to treatment, they said, when did your life become unmanageable? And I said, January 25th, 1992, the day I was born, to my mother. Because that's the truth. I was born into chaos and unmanageability. And my mother is not an affectionate woman. I do not remember her telling us that she loved us growing up. She'd pat us on the head and say, I'm very fond of you, because that's what she was capable of doing. But as a kid, I thought that there was something wrong with me because of that. And I always wanted my mom to love me. And I spent a lot of my life just trying to find that love and validation My mom sold drugs. She was really big, like, force. So I remember when she got a call from my elementary school teacher, because we had to write this paper about, like, this, you know, the little sheets with the lines, and you draw the picture on top and you write the sentence, and it was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I put that I wanted to sell drugs. And I drew money on the paper because I wanted to be just like her. And I really didn't, that's what I thought was normal. That was my baseline for normal. My mom taught me how to bag shit up and weigh it and cook it and sell it when I was 9 years old. And that's just the lifestyle that I grew up with. I remember when I went to a sleepover at my friend's house and her mom worked like a regular people job, and I was shocked. I was like, what do you mean not everybody's mom is out here selling drugs? This is crazy. My dad was in and out of my life a lot. He is one of us. He's in recovery now. So that's a fucking weird dynamic that I'll talk about later. But for right now, in the timeline, very absent. You know. So yeah, like growing up was pretty fucking rough. My mom went to prison for the first time when I was 12 years old, and I had to start house hopping. They put me with family member to family member, and they didn't live as freewheeling as my mom did, and I didn't fucking like that. I wasn't allowed to sell crack out of my grandma's basement, and I didn't fucking like that. I was like, what the fuck do you mean this is a no-go here? So I didn't last too long in any one particular home. I was pretty wild. And I always have had like this really shitty attachment style because of that. I've always felt very unlovable, very unwanted, and just like from a very young age, I just remember looking at myself in the mirror and being like, you disgust me. As a child, I wasn't even in middle school yet, and I was like disgusted with myself. So my mom was in and out of prison a lot, and finally when I turned 15, she went to prison for a long time. And I grew up in Hagerstown, Maryland, by the way. If you know where that is, I'm real fucking sorry. Ain't shit to do there except for drugs and maybe prostitution, which I did both there, but it's not much fun to do there. I think they have a bowling alley. So my grandma at the time, I got in trouble. I had borrowed a car without asking. I was 15 years old, and I had every intention of bringing it back, but I was drunk and I got pulled over, and so that was not fun to explain. But they thought that the solution to my problem was we're gonna move you to Morgantown, West Virginia, to live with your aunt and uncle. Okay. It was a little wild because I thought I was moving to I don't want to say that. Like, I thought I was moving to West Virginia, and I thought West Virginia was a lot different than what it was, especially in Morgantown. So I was like, there's just going to be cows and corn. But in Morgantown, the drugs runneth over. I was like, hell yeah, I'm home. Fuck yeah, I'll stay here. And I shortly, in a very short period of time, I found out who to get high with. I found an age-inappropriate boyfriend to have, because that's a thing that I was really about. I didn't feel good about myself. You know, my parents never loved me, daddy and mommy issues, so I was like, I'm just going to date these older men. So that's what I did, and I just continuously got in trouble from a very, very young age. I started using when I was 12, and I didn't start light. I just dove into the deep end real quick. And when I was not responsible for keeping a roof over my own head, it was pretty fucking fun. I was having a good time, except for I do remember the first time that I got high, and I was having a panic attack, and I was like, man, this is awful. I couldn't wait for it to be over. Like, white knuckling my chair, like, if I just live through this, I'll never do this again. This is fucking awful. But then, as soon as it was over, I was like, I'm going to do that again. I really liked this self-induced panic attack I just gave myself. So I graduated high school, I talk with my hands. This is going to be, one of these microphones is going to hit the ground. I graduated high school barely by the skin of my teeth, and shortly after high school, right after high school, I got kicked out of my aunt and uncle's house. They're like, we've had it with you. We've done our best. Please leave. So that's what I left. And I was like all excited. I was like, I'm an adult now. I'm 18 years old. I can do what I want. Well, that sucked because I got evicted from a lot of apartments because I just really didn't want to spend my money on anything except for drugs. And when you rent an apartment, people want you to pay them for it. So I didn't last too long. And I met this guy, and he had a house, and I really liked that about him. So I was in love with him. He had a house. I didn't have a house. I was very excited about this new development. Ready to get married that day. Let's go to the courthouse. And his dumbass let me move in. And I got pregnant because that's what you do. That's what you got to do when you're fresh out of high school and have a crippling drug problem. You just got to have a baby. And I stopped using when I was pregnant because I was like super excited. I was like, yeah, this baby's going to fix me. If you have kids, then you need to laugh harder because they are... So I had this baby, and I remember holding her afterwards and just thinking, like, I still really hated my life, and I really wanted to get high, and I was mad because I had a resentment against this kid because she didn't fucking fix me, because I still fucking hated myself even though I had this baby. So I got high shortly thereafter, and I started to be the exact same kind of mother that my mother was for me. And I didn't see it that way, but that's what happened. And as a result of that, my mom had to step in a lot and take care of my kid. Like this lady that that left me home alone on Christmas one year for fucking 3 nights with no phone and no cable. I was letting her watch my kid so I could get high. And then I decided that Morgantown was the problem, so I was going to move to Hagerstown. Going back to Hagerstown, it's going to fix everything. So I packed up my baby, and we moved in with my aunt in Hagerstown, and they got drugs there too. And I found them. I found the people that were doing them. I was also really into the show Sons of Anarchy at this time, so I started dating a biker, and I was like, hell yeah, this is going to be great. It wasn't great. He beat my ass a lot. It wasn't like I thought it was going to be. And that show is a little unrealistic, if you ask me. So, we're both super strung out. We're beating each other up, just living my best life. And that relationship ended with me being like gasoline being poured on me and a whole like, if I can't have you, then I'm just going to kill you. And I was like, oh, okay. I really hated my life, and I welcomed death at that point. But a friend came over and was like, what the fuck is this? And I saw that as my opportunity to get on out, scoot, never moved so fast in my fucking life. Then I packed my baby up, and we went to my mom's in Morgantown because she had gotten out of prison. And when I got there, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I only have my gasoline-soaked clothes, like $200, and a fucking 2-year-old in the back seat. And I'm knocking on my mom's door, and Drug Task Force opened my mom's door because they're taking that bitch to jail. I was like, goddamn. And the first thing I did was get high with the only money that I had. We had nowhere to go, and I thought that my best idea was to get high. Because, this was very hard for me. You see, so I had to get high. And so my kid and I, we were homeless for a minute. She lived on the street with me for a minute. people would let us sleep at their house sometimes. We were sleeping on floors with cockroaches and trap houses and shit. And when my mom got out of jail, she just straight up took my kid from me because it was bad. It was really fucking bad. And it was so bad that I did not notice that my child had been taken from me for days. I left that kid as collateral on drug deals. I shot up in the car next to that kid. She has seen some fucking shit. She's seen me get arrested. She throws that up in my face all the time. And she was only 3 years old, and I think she's only heard me share about it at fucking meetings, so she thinks she remembers it, but I'm not going to take her inventory. But I don't remember shit from when I was 3. That's all I'm saying. But I don't want to take that away from her. It was a very chaotic time, and I was not a good mom, and she deserved a lot better. So I just continued to be on the street and be on drugs, and one day I was just really tired of it, and I had been to one Narcotics Anonymous meeting one time. My friend took me, and it was a year before I went into treatment, and some dude was giving his lead, and I just kept waiting for him to be at the end, but I still smoke crack, and it's okay, and my life's okay. And he didn't say that, so I was like, well, this isn't for me. See ya. But the free coffee was all right. I did like that, but I didn't come back. You weren't selling me on this shit. It was a cult. I wasn't doing that. People were trying to hug me. I was like, I smell bad. I don't think you want to do that. But when I called my mom one day, and it was like, if you've seen Basketball Diaries, it's like that scene where he's like outside of the door, and he's like, why are you doing this to me, Ma? I just wanted $20, and she wouldn't fucking give me $20. And I knew she had $20. It was very frustrating. I always felt very entitled to like steal from my mom, or entitled to her money, or entitled to staying at her house because she didn't raise me in the manner that I thought that I should be raised in. So I always kicked in her door first. Like, I'm coming for your shit because you owe me. You owe me a childhood, and I'm going to take it out your ass $1 at a time, bitch. Let's go. Well, we'll talk about karma later, but she has gotten me back. But I called her, and she said, no, I'm not going to give you any money, which was really hard for her to do because she also felt guilty about the way that I grew up, and she gave me everything I wanted. She never called the fucking cops on me. She never put me out, and she said no, and she said, I'll take you to the hospital, or you can just sit there and fucking cry. And I was like, maybe at the hospital they'll give me some drugs, so let's go. And I got there, and they were like, no. No, ma'am, no drugs for you. Because apparently if you go in there and ask for drugs, that's a no-fly zone. So they were like, we can send you to detox. And I really liked the idea of eating food and sleeping in a bed and being able to take a solid shit without pushing for like 12 hours like I was having a goddamn baby. So I went to detox, and I had no plans of staying clean. That was not in the cards for me. I just wanted to like lay low long enough so that my mom would let me back in her house and I could steal all her shit again. She was going to trust me, and I was going to strike while the iron was hot. But she told me that detox was not long enough to come live at her house, so I had to go to treatment, and I was like, you fucking bitch. She played me. But I was like, whatever, I can tough it out for 28 more days. That money's going to be there when I get out. Maybe more will be there. So I went to treatment in Fairmont, and I remember the first day I got there, they were like, okay, get ready for the meeting. I was like, I don't want to go, because I thought it was optional. And they just laughed at me. I was like, I don't want to fucking go to that. That's where I met Angela, because she's in Fairmont, and meetings in Fairmont, and but the first person that ever tried to hug me was this lady Brandy. She's like 5'2", and she tried to hug me at my first meeting, and I drew my fist back, and I was like, bitch, I don't fucking know you. Don't touch me, because that was weird. When I was using, and ways and means to get more, I was fucking selling my body. I lived animalistic, did not fucking, anytime anyone like made an advance towards me or talked to me or anything, it was all very orchestrated and calculated, because that's how we live when we're fucking getting high. Like, how can I get what I want from you? And that's what I thought was going on. I was like, what the fuck do you want? Don't touch me. But I still wasn't sold. By the way, when I went to treatment, that's my clean date. It's April 6, 2015. I just celebrated 7 years. It wasn't on purpose. I didn't want it to pan out that way until I was like 3 weeks into treatment, and I was like, I think I really like not fucking using drugs. I really like not waking up and feeling like a sack of shit. And I sought longer treatment. I was in treatment for 7 months total. I was at this house with all these other women. And I know this is not a unique idea, because every woman comes in here and they're like, oh, I don't trust women. I don't like women. And I thought I was so unique. I was like, I just don't get along with other women. Okay, bitch. Well, I didn't trust you, and I didn't want to be your friend. I only wanted to be friends with the men. And you can connect the dots and figure out why. It's because I was looking for validation in other places. It's not rocket science. We all know why you say that, because we said it. We have all said it. So before you try to come tell me that you don't want to be friends with other women in the program because you just trust men more, just know that I know that we know that you want that male validation. It's cool, just say it. So I went to long-term treatment. I became friends with Angela, which was wild, by the way, because she had 12 years clean, and she wanted to be my friend, my ratchet-ass friend. I am don't know how to fucking live, don't know how to act, screaming at people at the meetings. Someone threw a book at me. Do you remember when she threw that book at me? I'm not going to name drop her, but she's pretty well known, and you can use your imagination. She said, read your fucking basic text. It's like, God damn, these people are scary. But I read it, but not because she told me to. I read it in spite of her. So when I was in treatment, you weren't allowed to use the phone unless you got a sponsor, because I didn't want to do this. I wasn't going to work steps. This was weird. I didn't want to get high, but I didn't want to do this. But I wanted to use that phone so bad, just a little pay phone that we'd have to call out, collect first, and be like, oh, it's Cassidy, call me back. And then you'd have to hope that they were going to call you back. But I wanted to do that so bad, because you didn't have clout in rehab unless you were on the phone. So I asked this lady to be my sponsor, and she said yes, and I was like, cool. I had no intention of calling her. And I was ready. I ran back to that house ready to burn that fucker up. Would you know that the only person that answered my phone calls was that fucking lady that said she would be my sponsor? I was fucking pissed. Not even my mom wanted to talk to me. So I started working steps with her because I didn't have fucking anything else to do. And I'm very competitive also. That's also a side note. I'm very competitive, so I had to finish my first step before every fucking buddy else in that house. So I shared it with her, and I was really surprised at how much different I felt. And it wasn't that, like, we unearthed some life-changing knowledge when I was sharing it. It was just that she cared about the shit that I was saying. And she hugged me afterwards, even though some of it was really fucking ugly shit. And I had never experienced unconditional acceptance like that. And that was like my first real experience with like working this program. And it made me want to do more. So I continued to work steps. And I remember my mom brought my child. She was 3. She brought her to visit me on visitation day, and I remember I went to hug her, and she just like recoiled from me because she was afraid of me, and that shit fucking hurt, because I was so excited to see her, and I wanted to make everything up to her that she didn't want anything to do with me. Because she was living a regular life, and we did not live a regular life. That shit hurt, but, you know, that's just what happens. That's the consequences of our actions sometimes. We hurt the people that we love the most. I hurt my kid. So I got out of treatment, and I went to a meeting my first day out, because that's what everyone said to do. And I wanted to stay clean. I was bought in at this point. I had worked the first 3 steps by the time I left treatment. And I moved back to Morgantown, and I moved in with my mom, because women got the raw deal for a real long time as far as recovery resources go. There wasn't a fucking women's recovery home within a fucking 30-mile radius of fucking Morgantown. That's crazy. I also cuss a lot, and if you brought your kids in here, I'm real sorry. But that's just what it is. I moved in with my mom. I didn't have a license or a car for the first 2 years and 10 months that I was clean, so I had to make some friends to come and pick me up, because she lived out the way. There were not any meetings near where my mom lived. And I still didn't want to be friends with women. So I just remember Hillary C. She was trying, so Hillary W. now. Let me correct myself. She wanted to be she just wanted to be there for me so bad, and I was just like, so I would just blow her off all the time, because I was hanging out with dudes, because I had put down the drugs, and I was like, hello men, it's you. You're the answer to my problems. This is gonna make everything feel better, because I took the drugs away and I still felt like shit. I was still there. I was still had to live with all the fucking shit that I had done, and the annoying shit that I still sometimes do today. But I remember when I had almost 9 months clean, I finally called Hillary, because I felt like I was going to fucking get high. And she fucking answered, and she came and picked me up, and she sat with me for fucking 5 hours until the meeting. She left work early and came and sat with me, and I didn't fucking get high. I still didn't like women after that, though. You know, y'all had a lot to prove to me. But I realized that I didn't like women, and I thought that women were shady, because I was the shadiest bitch in the tri-state area. And I was projecting that onto you. Early recovery was not fun. It was not my grandest moments, and I'm calling early recovery until I had like 4.5 years clean. I'm just call it what it is. I wasn't having a good time, because I would just like get in these relationships, and everyone would say this is a terrible idea, and I'd be like, oh, I can't hear you. I remember one time I was at the home group in Morgantown, and Angela was there, and she wanted me to like come out to eat or something after the meeting, but I couldn't be bothered to do that, because there was a man to see, and he treated me like shit, and she knew it. And she followed me down the street, driving slow in her car, screaming, shame! Shame! Because that's a real-ass fucking friend. If your friend is fucking up in here and you're not telling them about it, you're a fake-ass friend. If you're going to go back to your little groups outside of the meeting and be like, oh my God, did you know Cassidy did this with so-and-so? You're a fucking fake-ass friend. Say it to their face. Say it to my face. Because people fucking die. If we go unchecked fucking up, we get high. Fucking check on your friends. Say it to their face. Who cares if it's uncomfortable? It's going to be uncomfortable when you sit at their fucking funeral. Anyway, I'm going to put my soapbox away. It will come back, but we'll put it away for right now. So, yeah, I just straight up wasn't having a good time. There was a lot of very amazing people that I came into the rooms with, that we came in around the same time, and a lot of them aren't here. It's like me and JD, and then Andrew C., and that's like it. And a lot of those motherfuckers are dead, and that shit hurts. I remember the first time someone that I was close with in this program passed away. I didn't have a year clean yet, and his name was Cruz, and I don't care about their anonymity. They shouldn't have fucking died if they wanted to remain anonymous. And I'm just saying. It was really fucking hard because I lived in this fucking really foolish la-la land where I thought that we were all just going to stay clean forever. And it just keeps fucking happening, man. Like, we've lost so many fucking good people. Like, I look in this fucking crowd and I wish more than anything that, like, Blair and Courtney were here and, like, Sydney and so many fucking people that aren't here today. And it fucking sucks. It sucks to think about. And it's never the asshole that's pissing you off at your home group. It's always someone cool! That was fucked up, but I don't care. That shit was hard. Dealing with loss is hard. Grieving people on a loop, week after fucking week, seeing a post on Facebook that so-and-so has passed away is not normal, and it's very fucking hard. We're dealing with shit that is, like, unprecedented in here, but we're doing it together. And it doesn't have to be us if we keep doing this shit, man. It doesn't have to be me if I keep doing this shit. And when I had 18 months clean, my first sponsor relapsed, and I was like, that hurt. And I took it very personally because everything is about me. So I was like, I'm just bumping this thing along. I'm going to scoot away. Everything's about me, and how could she do that to me? But I failed to realize that, like, getting mad at people that are getting high is dumb as fuck. No one sits in their room and thinks, I'm going to show Cassidy. I'm going to fucking get high. That's not how it is. And instead of, like, channeling that energy to be mad at people, I just need to check on them. Because when people get high in this program, it doesn't mean that they just disappear, man. They're still fucking there, and I need to check on them and tell them that I love them, regardless of whether they're clean or not, regardless of whether they show up or not. And I do that. I fucking let people know that I care about them and I love them. Because I love you is not a word that people that are getting high fucking hear very often. I recently just accepted and switched professions. I'm a harm reduction director at a health clinic in Morgantown. And I'm telling you what, I love you is just not what the still sick and suffering addict hears. So I try to be that, man. So I got a new sponsor, and I kept working steps. I got a new sponsor, like, within the hour. I was not fucking playing games because I was scared. I was like, no, I don't want to get high. So I called this lady, and she said yes, and we started working steps, and she didn't even make me start over, which I thought was pretty cool. Because that would not have been a selling point for me. I would have just got a different sponsor. I would have been like, this isn't going to work out. Because I thought working steps was a race. I wanted to finish them all really quick. But you just start them over at the end, so joke's on me. And I was like, I was in a competition with someone that I came into the rooms with to finish the steps before them, but he didn't know we were in this competition. It was just me. I was the only person that knew about it. But I was really into it. And when he passed me up, I was like, what the fuck? Can't have that. I went home and finished my fucking 7-step that night. So yeah, it was a rough time. There were a lot of, I made a lot of the wrong decision. I didn't do anything productive. I wasn't demonstrating behaviors of someone that wanted to get their kid back. I didn't get my kid back until I had 4.5 years clean. That ship sailed. I thought it was never going to happen. I got into a big argument with one of my best friends in Morgantown. He really pissed me off, so I packed up my stuff and moved to Clarksburg. I was like, fuck you guys, I'm out. Because I like to take my ball and go home. I didn't do much research on Clarksburg. I'd used there a couple times, and it wasn't very pleasant, but whew, I didn't realize that I was like alien. I also didn't realize that I was alienating myself from every support system that I had built for years, all over a petty resentment. So I moved there. I had a job there. And while I was living in Clarksburg, when I had over 3 years clean, I got sexually assaulted. And I didn't understand. Like, I just thought that I was going to get clean and bad shit like that was. I knew bad shit could still happen to me, but I didn't think that shit like that would happen to me. And I was scared. It's like a double whammy too, because I kind of went a little crazy and like holed up in my house for a while. And I was supposed to get my daughter back. I had signed a lease on a 2-bedroom apartment in Clarksburg, and I was going to get her back. But because of my mental state, I did not get her back. So I not only got sexually assaulted, but I had that opportunity robbed from me to get my fucking kid back. And I didn't want to stay clean. I was fucking miserable. I hated myself. I hated you guys. I hated everything. And like a week after that happened, I had to go for this fucking work training to Charleston, West Virginia. And I didn't really know anyone, and I went to the noon meeting there, and I just said what happened to me, man, and those people fucking loved me. And Nick L. came and fucking sat with me when I was fucking freaking the fuck out, and John B. and like all these people from Charleston just like surrounded me with love because I told them what was wrong with me, and they assured me that I was okay and that there wasn't anything wrong with me and that it was going to be okay. And I wanted to get high every day for a really long time, but I didn't fucking use. I was scared to live alone, and I made friends with my buddy Joe, and one day we were just like smoking cigarettes and hanging out and like accosting raccoons at a car wash late at night, and I was like, hey, do you want to move in with me? I need a roommate. And he was like, sure. And that was like a really important time in my life because I was scared shitless and I didn't want to be alone and I needed to ask for help, and he was there for me, and he became one of my really good friends through that experience. We did have our tussles. Living together with people in recovery is fucking hard. Everyone in a sober living house is like, whew, preach it. Yeah, it's fucking rough. I just wanted, I eventually moved back to Morgantown, and a lot of people laugh because they never really know where I'm from because I move a lot. I've moved probably like 7 times since I've been clean. And I moved in with my friend, and I got this dog because I was like, I'm never getting my kid back, so I'm going to get a puppy. And I don't like puppies, let me just say. They're cute if they're yours, but I don't want my own. That's a lot of responsibility. They pee everywhere. So I get this puppy. I'm like the poorest I've ever been because I was working as a fucking PRC for state drug court and called the circuit court judge everything but a nice white man and quit my job because I hate the government, so I don't know why I wanted to work for the fucking government. I thought I was going to make a change, but apparently they don't want that system to change, so there's that. So I quit my job in a rage and was basically like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, I'm out type shit. It's all on record, too. That's the best part. Actually, what I really said was, pardon my French, Your Honor, but this is bullshit, and I quit. So I moved in with my friend, and like, I remember literally gambling to make my rent money one night. I was like, come on, Krista, we're going to the fucking casino. I got to play craps to make this rent money. That's how poor I was. I was not having a good time. And my mom was using again, and she dropped my daughter off on my doorstep and never came back to get her. I was like, I'm not prepared for this. This is what I wanted, but not right now. So that was wild because we lived in a 2-bedroom and she was not used to me and it was crazy. I wanted to get her back so bad for fucking 4.5 years. That's all I wanted. I hoped and prayed for it. But within a week, I was in meetings like, this is awful and I don't know why I wanted to do this. Because she didn't respect me as her mother. We didn't know how to live with each other. I didn't know how to take care of her. She didn't know how to deal with me. I I just thought that I would just feed her and, like, keep a roof over her head and everything was going to be all right. But she still needed someone to, like, wipe her ass when she shit. And I was like, what? This is wild. Wild. And I had to, like, make sure that she went to school, because they don't, if your kid skips school, they don't arrest the kid. They come for you. And I wasn't gonna go down clean for that shit. So I had to figure out. I'm accustomed to a certain style of living. I didn't go to jail on active addiction. I went to many fine mental institutions, but I wasn't going clean. So I had to figure a lot of shit out, and I had to find a new job, because it's really hard to, like, wait tables and be an active participant in your child's life when you work all the hours that they're not at school. And I had to force Joe to move to Morgantown so we could co-parent my child, even though we were never in a relationship. I was like, hey, I need help again, Joe. Please uproot your life and come help me. And he did. It kind of forced my hand. I had to stop being a predator and poaching newcomer men out of their recovery homes and becoming their higher power. I had to stop doing that. And we're all laughing. Women are predators too. We don't talk about it enough, but it fucking happens. And I know, because I was one of them. It was so bad that they would be like, on your intake, they'd be like, don't even talk to Cassidy. Don't look at her. And it's funny to say, but one of those motherfuckers really did die. So it's not really that fucking funny. And some people are of this school of thought that you can't make anybody use, but that's a cop-out, because you can. You can make people feel uncomfortable in the rooms. You can make people feel like shit about themselves. And you can contribute to the demise and death of people like us. I know this because I have done this. And it's not okay. And I fucking, like, that shit fucks with me. Like, I don't want to be that kind of person. I never wanted to be that kind of person. I just didn't feel good about myself, so I didn't care about the consequences that my actions had on other people. So, anyway, we'll go back to the jokes now. This is serious. We're going to laugh now. So it kind of forced my hand. I had to stop being crazy, and I had to grow up really fucking fast, because I really didn't want to be the same kind of mother that my mother was. And that's what it was. It was always a different boyfriend. It was always too busy to, like, do your homework with you, figure it the fuck out. I didn't want to be that kind of mom. So I got this job that I did not have the qualifications for. And I went into this job interview, and they were like, oh, we see that you don't have a bachelor's degree. What makes you, like, why did you apply for this job? And I was like, it was for the West Virginia Coalition to End Homelessness. And I said, well, I've been homeless and I used to shoot up under bridges, so I feel like I just know what I'm talking about. And they fucking hired me! I was like, hell yeah! It was crazy. So I also cussed a lot in that job interview, and I left, and I was like, they're never going to call me. They called me the next week, and they were like, when can you start? And in my mind, I was like, are these people fucking high? And I worked there for 3 years, man, and it kept me grounded and gave me a lot of perspective and helped me develop a lot more compassion than I had previously. I remember having like 2 years clean, and I was the Narcotics Anonymous police. I had a badge number and everything. Don't you dare say sober in the meeting, because I'm issuing a ticket. Whew. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, well, how could people come to the meeting high? How could they do that? I came to meetings high. I came to my first meeting high. But I was like, oh, old so-and-so, they're high. Can't do it. Old so-and-so, they're on MAT. Just like taking notes in my little cop notebook. And so I can speak freely about this. If you're addicted to people on MAT, then you need to fucking reassess your program. Because nowhere in any of the steps that I've ever worked did it say, in order to stay clean, you need to take a log of everyone's medications that they take and judge them for it. I'm on enough antipsychotic medication to put down an elephant. So if we want to take a log, y'all wouldn't let me speak here. So it's not fun to be the NA police, but there's always one. And we're like, the traditions, you gotta follow. I didn't know shit about the traditions. I just knew what they said, and I was like, I'm gonna twist this to make it mean what I want it to mean so that I can make you feel bad, which will make me feel good. That's fucked up. And it also violates tradition 1. Using the traditions as a weapon violates the very first one. I know what you guys are thinking. That's crazy. You're thinking too fast, Cassidy. A lot of people probably feel personally offended, myself included sometimes. I have to be reminded to practice unity all the time. Chris just fucking reminded me the other day when I was ready to stage a coup of someone's home group that pissed me off. I'm talking January 6th type shit, man. With 7 years clean, I'm ready to go in there. I'm telling all my sponsees, you have to join us. We're joining this home group. We're changing the name. We're changing the fucking format. And we're moving it across town because he doesn't drive and then he can't go. Yes. This is what better looks like. This is it. This is it, folks. But I didn't do it because I ran it by some people and they said, that is a really shitty idea. And someone brought up a really good point. How are you going to feel when you have to make amends to that guy? Couldn't be me. I never want a reason to tell that motherfucker sorry. But anyway. I crack myself up. I laugh at my own jokes. But anyway, yeah, you don't get perfect in this program. I'm still pretty fucking off the wall sometimes, as you can tell. But I just try my best, and I run all of my shit past other people, and that's what makes this work. That's what makes me not get high. That's what makes me make better decisions. Is you guys. I'm not like a big higher power person. I know that one exists. I don't believe in like conventional God, and I only say that for the people that feel like they might have to fit in, because I thought that I would have to fit in when I was working steps 2 and 3, but you don't. I've been clean for 7 years, and I don't know what my higher power is. I just know that it exists and that it fucking looks out for me, and that's really all I need to know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't overthink it. I also don't I don't hit my knees in the fashion that people. Well, I hit my knees before, but not like that. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I have, but I don't hit my knees to pray. I don't do formal praying. I open that door. You guys are all sick. I open that door and you walk through it. I don't formally pray. That's not my jam. But I do have a connection with whatever's out there. And so I also say that to say, like, if you're struggling with that, you don't have to wear other people's spiritual beliefs to fit in here. I don't, and it's okay. You can stay clean if you don't believe the same way as everybody else. You can stay clean if you don't fucking believe at all. Just stay clean long enough to find something to have faith in, you know? And maybe that faith looks like I have faith in this program because I see people fucking staying clean and working it. And that's all I had for a really long time. So I got all fired up about that coup, and now I forgot what I was going to say. I'm a grudge-holding ass motherfucker. But I'm also like, once I come to the conclusion that I talk myself through it, and I realize that we all are who we are, and we're all trying our best with what we fucking have, and I don't get to determine what other people's bests look like. My best looks like shit sometimes. The best I can do some days is not hit my kids. That's, or not get high. My kids are off the chain, okay? And you would do well to not hit those motherfuckers either. And I love them. I love them to death, and I understand that it's my DNA that makes them this way, and that's very frustrating. So, you know, I get my oldest kid back. Things are looking good. Joe and I, we are not very decorative at this point. I don't do holidays because I'm a miserable person, you know, because I didn't have my kid to share holidays with, so I was like, I'm just not going to do it. So I remember our first Christmas. Maya's very festive. She loves to decorate. That's her jam. She loves it. I remember at Halloween time, our first Halloween together, Joe was like, every time I come home, it keeps getting spookier and spookier in here. But we were putting up our Christmas tree, and Maya held my hand, and she said, Mom, this is our first Christmas tree that we've ever put up together. And I'll never fucking forget that. I'll never forget. That shit made me cry when it happened because I was finally getting to do normal shit with my kid. I was being a normal mom. I wasn't out here pop, lock, and thoughting it anymore. I was doing this shit. And then I met my boyfriend. He's right there. Say hi, Derek. Wave. We love this man. He's great. We had a mutual friend kind of like play Cupid with us, and he wasn't a newcomer when I met him either. So that was cool. He had over a year clean. We loved that. And breaking the cycle. And so, you know, we were like hanging out, and I didn't know how to like do things in an appropriate manner because I had never done that before. And it was just real awkward at first, I think, for both parties. But we decided that we liked each other, and then that was good news because boom, pregnant right off the rip. He baby trapped me. I just want that on record. It's on CD now forever. That's not really what happened. We both almost shit our pants whenever we found out we were pregnant. I didn't even know this guy's middle name. I was like, oh shit! I remember I always call Angela in times of trouble, and I was like, I'm gonna move towns and change my name. And she was like, no, you have to tell him. I was like, no, I don't. I was afraid that he was just gonna fucking dip out because every person in my life just leaves when shit gets hard, and that's not what happened. The thought did cross his mind, I'm sure, that he stuck it out. And that was a miserable fucking pregnancy, and we were in a pandemic, and we really had to spend a lot more time together than I'm sure he wanted to spend because I am not a nice pregnant lady. Everything is everyone else's fault. But then I was also afraid because like me and my oldest had just gotten into a routine, and so that was like really shitty too because like now I have to tell her that I'm having a baby. She doesn't even know this man yet. And I'm like, oh God. So that went over not well. She cried, and she said, I don't want to change any of those diapers. And I said, well, no one fucking asked you to, dude. And she complained the whole time. She was like, I'm going to send, what'd she tell me? What'd she say? I'm going to put that baby in a basket at the fire department when you have it. And I was like, hell yeah, we might do that anyway. Because I never wanted to have kids at all. I did not see myself as a mother. I assumed that because my mother was so terrible that I would be terrible, and I was like, the best option would be just to not. Just stop this right here. But I had that baby, and that was a pain in the ass. She was 9 pounds and 11 ounces. That was a big fucking baby. And it was a rough time. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Derek's still traumatized. Very hard for him. But instantly, we're all in love with her. She's great. And I found out that I really am a good fucking mom. And I have had a lot of highs and lows with this. My oldest daughter is 10. and she acts like she's 13, and she huffs and puffs a lot, and she's like, "Oh my God, Mom, you're so embarrassing," and I am, but don't tell me that. We were having a lot of arguments, and I mean like WWF style arguments, because I'm always right. I'm very self-righteous. That's something that I'm like trying to work on, and she always thinks that she's right. So I had to like phone a friend, call in some outside help, and take my ass to see a fucking therapist, and call everyone I know with kids in the rooms. Like, what do I do? Because I just hated arguing with my kid like that. I didn't want to be that kind of mom. And I've really grown leaps and bounds. Like, she argues with me, but I do not argue back, you know? I wish I could say the same for some of you guys, but it's just not, I'm not there yet. But I've really grown a lot as a mother, and it's because of the fucking women in Narcotics Anonymous that showed me how to do that. The people with kids in here, the dads too, you guys are fucking badass. And then you guys show me how to fucking be a parent. My daughter, she does dance, and no one was able to show up for her recitals, for both of her recitals, except for me. Her dad didn't show up. My mom didn't show up. And when we were driving home, she was really upset about it, and we were talking about it, and she said, "I'm just really glad that you always show up for my stuff. Like, I get to show up for my fucking kid today. I didn't have that growing up." And I also found out when I was like working through my shit that I was jealous of this kid, because she had everything that I always wanted growing up. She had a mother who loved her and a stable environment and all this shit. And I was like, why are you acting like an asshole? You have all this shit. That's normal people shit. That's what kids are supposed to have. And I'm mad at her because she's not fucking rolling out the red carpet for me over it. And I remember I shared my 4th step with my sponsor at the last convention, and I talked about that a lot and a lot of other things, and she looked at me at the end and said, "These are all very normal problems." I was like, holy shit, I've arrived. Because my other 4 steps were just like chaos, messy relationships, ignorant shit that I did to other people, and it was just not a fun time. And she told me I had normal people problems. I don't think anyone's ever said anything that nice to me. So I show up for my kids because you guys taught me how, because you guys have always shown up for me. I get to be there for my fucking crazy mom, and I love her. I love her where she's at, though it is very hard. Remember when I told you that she got me back? She really likes to like steal my identity and like steal my money and shit. It's just, whew, karma's a motherfucker. And I've really had to learn how to love her from a distance. We're never going to have the storybook ending that I want to have. We're never going to be best friends and sip chai lattes together and brush each other's hair. That's just not going to happen. And that's okay. And I can still love her. I can still love her because you guys taught me how. You guys taught me how to have boundaries. You guys taught me how to love people from a distance, because I want to insert myself in people's business when they go back out. I want to just follow you. I want to chase you down and tackle you and be like, nope, we're going to rehab, or I'm going to hit you with my car because we're going to the hospital one way or another. I remember one time holding my friend Christian hostage in my house and making him sweat it out. And you know what? He didn't stay clean after that. It doesn't work. Cassidy's Detox LLC did get shut down after that. And I have to have these boundaries. Like, I can still love you and I can still check on you, but I can't invite that kind of chaos into my house. I can't invite that kind of chaos into my life. And I can't fucking fix anyone because I'm not that powerful. And it fucking sucks. Even when I have the best intentions, I cannot insert my will into other people's lives. What am I doing on time? Am I over time? Has it been long enough? I'm long-winded. I was just checking. But I've only seen a couple people file out, not too many, so I feel like it's okay. I've always had to take my kid, my oldest, and my baby. I take them to meetings with me. And one thing that I will say is that I really don't like when people shush kids in the meeting. Not just mine. I don't like when people shush any kids in the meeting because that kid's parent needs to fucking be here, and I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. And if you have the time to shush the kid in the meeting, why don't you just go help that motherfucker that's trying to corral the child? It takes less effort and less of a noise disturbance to be a good person, you know? And that's how we break cycles, by the way, is we have to bring our kids to meetings, because if we don't come to the meetings, then what are we going to fucking do, you know? So, like, fucking help those motherfuckers out with their kids so that their kids don't fucking end up here one day. Someone shushed my baby in a meeting, and that was the wrong thing to do. I stopped mid-sentence, and I said, don't shush my fucking baby in here. She's a fucking baby. Only I can shush my baby, you know? But there are a lot of things that I could stand up here and say, but I think that the most important thing is that I've never had to fucking go through anything alone. I have gone through so much fucking shit since I got clean, shit that I didn't even think was fathomably possible to put on a reservation list. I have fucking gone through it. And the only thing I know that makes anything better besides time, and I know everyone hates that because we're all very impatient here, is fucking you guys. I call you guys. I come to meetings and I ask for help. I don't pretend like I'm better now. I don't pretend like because I have 7 years clean that I'm not allowed to have problems. If I felt like getting high last week and I went into a meeting and said it, and I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about that. There's no model for the recovering addict, and I'm allowed to still think about fucking getting high sometimes. If we stopped, people would just stop coming. It's not convenient to go to a meeting on a Friday night when you have kids. So I keep coming back, and I'm as honest as I can be, which is pretty fucking honest. I'm pretty forthright with it. I don't fucking care. I remember one time I had a speaker jam standing at the podium saying dicks are like crack to me. Like, this is as honest as it gets. I put those days behind me, though. You can turn a hoe into a housewife if she works the steps. Well, I don't think I'm going to top that, so that's all.